All right, whenever you're ready.
What time is it? It is 6:05 and I'm calling the meeting of the library board to order. Are you gonna do roll call?
I'll do roll call.
Okay.
All right, Chair Maria Hotta.
Yes, here.
Let's start that.
It's okay.
Vice Chair Gina Albertine.
Here.
Maggie Burns.
Here.
Luke Curtis is excused. Kyle Davenport. No. Alex, is it Day? Day.
Here.
Edie Hughes is excused. Dina Phelps.
Here.
Amy Wilson.
Here.
City Council Liaison, Chelsea Noonenkamp.
Present.
City Schools Liaison, Devon Williams.
Present.
And then staff, got Director Christine Underhill, present. I'm happy to announce our new Library Operations Manager, Carrie Watson. And librarian, Hannah Kinne. All right.
We'll cheer for you too, Hannah.
All right.
Well, to begin, we have new members, so let's go around and do introductions. We good with going this direction? Okay. My name's Marie Hotta. I use she, her pronouns, and I've lived in Inglewood since 2013 and have been on the library board for 6 years now.
I am Carrie Watson. I'm the brand new library operations manager. Previously, I was a patron experience advisor, and I live and I work in. My name is Alex Day. My pronouns are they, them. I've lived in Englewood since 2019. No, that's not right. 2021. I'm very happy to be here. Exactly.
I'm Becky. I use she, her pronouns. I have lived in Inglewood since 20. We're here in Inglewood with a son. And I've been on the library board now for 3 years as Kinne, and I'm just realized today. My name's Dina. I use she, her pronouns. I've lived in Inglewood for 5 years now.
My name's Davon Williams. I'm the schools liaison, Inglewood Schools. I use him pronouns. And I've been a resident of Inglewood.
Christine Underhill, I'm the director for the Parks, Recreation, Library, and Golf Department. She, her pronouns. And I've been with the city since 2020.
And I had the pleasure to meet up with Alex prior to this meeting, but, well, the rest of you know me. I don't know why I would do, that's awkward.
Tell us your name. We don't remember.
Gina, I use she, her pronouns. I have been a proud Inglewood citizen since 2011. And I've been a library board for 3 years.
Thank you. You're such a wallflower. Alex, good to see you. We met, you interviewed, very happy that you applied, very happy that you were appointed.
I'm Amy Wilson. My pronouns are she, her, and I have lived in Inglewood for, I don't know, 25 years, something like that. I've been on the board. Feels like that long. Probably about 6 years.
Nope, it's been longer than 6 years, maybe 6.
Yeah, maybe 6. I think that's all I'm supposed to say.
Yeah, I'm Hannah. I'm a full-time circulation librarian. I've worked with it since January 20. All right. Thanks, everyone. All right, we need to approve last month's meeting minutes.
They're pretty easy.
Yep.
Yeah, I motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll second.
In favor? Any opposed? All right. Are approved. We don't actually have public comment, I think, right?
Nope.
And so we can move to reports and Carrie, are you doing? Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. So this is the first of the year's report. So if you,
I caught a look at it.
no, you're fine. So they, mhm. So as you'll see, we are starting over with comparing January 25 to January 24, and then the year to date is kind of beginning. So I didn't quite fill that out yet. But I kind of wanted to start the year fresh, seeing what are exactly the things that you want me to highlight during these meetings. Obviously, you'll get this beforehand and have a chance to look at it completely. So I don't want to just sit and read every single thing.
Thank you.
But if there are particular things that you want me to highlight each time, I'll be happy to do that. Or I just wanted to open it to if there is different information that you would also like to see in this, or that you don't really care about at all. A lot of this information we include just because we have to report it to the state each year anyway, so we collect it anyway. But if you are particularly curious about any other new information that you'd like to see added to the report, maybe that's something you can be pondering on. Or if anything jumps out at you particularly about the report. Questions on.
And do you have any like segments that you specifically call out?
I will say we're consistently having more study room sessions. Personally, I think that has to do with us taking a stricter 2 hours only policy last year, which allows a lot more people to utilize this space. So I think that comes through in the numbers of study room sessions. So I like to see that number high because I think it actually means that more citizens are using it, community members. So that number I'm always excited to see growing. And then obviously I like the new account registration number. I mean, last year we did a huge push, so I think that's why it's especially high last year, but I'd say it's still comparable this year and kind of on track with the same kind of growth last year. So, the other thing that I was going to mention, and this you'll probably see start to change, and I don't know if it was really, so if you go down to the bottom in adult programs and outreach programs, I think they used to count in there the number of snack packs they handed out as one person like participating. So we actually talked and decided to not include that in the numbers just because we really felt like it was giving a weighted number of like program attendance when it was more just kind of a resource we were providing. So you may see that number. We really hadn't started passing out snacks at this point in the year, last January. But as the year goes on, if you start to see some dramatically different numbers, I'd say that's probably where the number is coming from. Just because we decided not to include that as a program participant in the stats. So just FYI, as the year goes on, that might be more. I don't think we included the number in this anyways.
While we're on adults, I don't know if it's a question, but
Yeah.
maybe kind of cool. We had 14 less in-house programs, but almost twice as much attendance.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's just interesting.
Yes, the 20, I know that that number includes all the tech assist programs that we're doing. We have some steady staff that are doing that and the book club. So it could be that it was the first book club of the year. I just kind of everybody's.
When did you start going to now? And does that kind of adult?
So that
outreach?
it counts as adult outreach program.
Adult
So it'll
okay.
be in that adult
Okay.
outreach. So this was our very first one of they wanted December to kind of like get it started, and then January was their actually like of it, and that was super popular. And it's been really fun to kind of build and strengthen those connections with Family Center. And we have a staff member who goes out twice a month and does tech assist at Mally too. So now we have the 2 tech assist at Mally's and the Mally both, and just hoping to.
But that doesn't actually answer.
Yeah, it's
Outreach,
their
okay.
outreach program.
Carrie, a couple things. One, if there's data that you're collecting that is not required for the state and it's causing you or your staff more work, I don't know that that's necessary for us, but I mean, collectively, I would just like to know. I didn't realize you reported this to
Yeah.
the state, so I don't want to put any more work on you guys that we wouldn't actually do something with, right?
Yeah.
So there's that piece, and then also as the strategic plan is finalized, I can't help but wonder like what data we're collecting that helps to support that work. Because I think that's what's really important, like if we decide we need a new building and we're like, oh, how many study rooms should we have? Oh, we're only gonna have one. Well, this data supports otherwise, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where when I look at this data, I look, well, what's gonna help inform the strategies and action of library staff?
Yeah.
So.
So maybe to implement that, like,
Mhm.
take a look before next month and tell us which things you may consider striking, and then.
Yes,
I
Next
think
month we-
almost everything in here is required.
Okay.
okay,
So it would be more like, is there information that we are not giving you that you would like to see added? Like, I mean, like one thing we've pondered on is just like number of active card holders, but what does it mean to be an active card holder? Like, and just kind of like pondering on that. How do we get our active card holders? What is it? You know, what does that look like? And
I do think that that's useful and that
Mhm.
might go hand in hand with
right.
plan things, but.
Or if we see a huge increase in people that are using Hoopla, well,
Yeah.
is it then necessary to spend more money? And I don't even know,
Yeah.
spend more
Right.
money for the collections within that,
yeah.
and that would be something to
No,
support.
and I think that's something that I'm definitely curious about coming out with strategic stuff. Because I think our digital usage is certainly growing.
Yes,
Kind of if we, pondered on different ways to grow our digital.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you've thought about those things, but that's what,
Yeah.
from my perspective, when I look at these numbers, that's what I'm wondering about.
Quick swap, like our digital went up by what our physical went down from last year ish.
And I think that's probably gonna stay. Print's never gonna go out of style, obviously, but I think digital is going to. As it's more easily accessible to the public, I think that will just continue.
Mhm.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Thank you. Well, we are moving into new, leadership at the library, so let us know when you're ready for us to spend the budget. And, $1,000 for you.
Yes. It was a topic of conversation. So
We may
we'll
bring
move
it
on
back
next.
to you and, yeah, and
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Alex, that resets.
And it's January to December.
Yep. Usually it's, well, these days, it used to be that that it was the end of the year and we're like, what can
Yeah.
we spend money on? And now they're like, we're gonna hit you for it. So, all right,
Probably summer reading.
Yep.
We'll get back to you.
all right. New business onto a staffing update.
yeah, so I did send an email out yesterday regarding our new library director, Rachel Fuel. And she will start actually on Monday. I think I put in there the wrong date, but it is Monday. She is starting on the 24th. So she'll be in the library. I think her first few weeks, or if not first few months, are gonna be a little hectic, just getting caught up, meeting everybody, meeting the new staff. But she is coming from the Denver Central Library. And she did an excellent interview, and the staff all really liked her. So we're excited to get her on board and get her up and running. I think timing wise, from a budget perspective, she's coming in at the right time, as well as the strategic plan. While a lot of work has been done, there's still work to do. So she'll be able to get some buy-in with that. And like I mentioned, Carrie is our new library operations manager, and started that first day was last Monday. Yeah, so she just rolled right into it. Kudos to Carrie. Through all this transition, she has really stepped up and taken ownership and worked closely with all the staff. So we're excited. Carrie has accepted the position as manager and is going to do really good things, keeping this library up and running and doing some new stuff too. So we're excited for all of that.
Congratulations, Carrie. And Rachel already posted on LinkedIn that she has the job, so I don't.
She did.
She's not gonna like not show up, right?
No,
But
already-
I
she's
connected
come-
with her and yeah, that's pretty great.
Yeah,
That's
she's
great.
committed. So definitely.
It
Yes.
feels like a great get for us, because of
Mhm.
our experience and the challenges and the opportunities that we have here. I'm curious from those of you who were in the interviews, why Inglewood? Why does she want this job? Why is she decided?
That's one question. She said she felt like a lot of her favorite businesses and things were moving this way, so she was interested. And I think we thought her skill set like really lent itself to our challenges.
I'm so excited. Good, good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're excited. She's gonna bring a whole different level to this library just with her experience. If you looked at her LinkedIn, she definitely, I mean, some of the talks she's done, the interviews she's done, papers she's written, like it speaks to what we deal with day in and day out here. So nothing hopefully is a surprise to her when she gets here. And that was part of the interview process too, is we made sure all the candidates got a tour of the library during the day while we were open so they could really see what this library is like. And one of the candidates actually backed out right after the interview, after seeing the library. They hadn't been exposed to the unhoused population in their current library. And so we know that's a challenge, and it's a different library than what libraries were 10, 15, 20 years ago. And so we want to make sure we have the right candidate that's prepared to deal with some of the situations they'll be dealing with here, in addition to regular library business. And she is a librarian, so it's great. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
And do we know anything, or are we waiting to know like how things will reshuffle
We're-
beyond
yeah.
those?
We're waiting for Rachel to get on board. We do have vacancies that we do want to fill quickly, but we didn't want to do that before she got on board. I knew I wanted to fill the library manager position. We needed that in place, just for the function of the library, but the other positions will backfill once she's on board and can take a look at the structure and the needs that we have. And with the staff we've got on board, I think they'll be really helpful in letting her know what we do need. So. Yay.
All right, Hannah, would you like to present? Sure.
So I'm gonna be talking to y'all about our volunteer program today. I asked Christina if I could do this because we reached a couple of really cool milestones last year that I wanted to highlight. I also do want to note that I've finished this presentation before Carrie got her new. Um, you know,
Good.
just pretend it says library operations. But yeah, so I'm going to talk to you about the volunteer program. I do want to ask that you hold any questions you have until the end, because if I start on a tangent, I will not come off of it. Yeah. So in 2023, it was part of the action plan that we create a volunteer program. We formalize all of these steps. In 2024, I personally set some goals to establish volunteer tasks in other library departments because they were primarily doing circulation stuff, and then to get feedback from volunteers. So looking at our 2024 highlights, we broke 1,000 volunteer hours in 2024, which for a library of this size and a volunteer composition that we have, I think that's pretty freaking awesome. We established a partnership with Englewood High School's Transition in Englewood Schools, or TIES program, which gives students post-graduation career and vocational skills. 8 TIES students contributed throughout 2024, and some of those have returned in 2025, which is encouraging. These hours average out to 19 and a half per week. So our volunteers are the equivalent of a part-time staff member, essentially. As part of that goal to get feedback from our volunteers, we created and conducted the first annual volunteer feedback survey. I'll go into more detail about the results of that later. And then I joined a Zoom group that's just library volunteers talking about challenges and things that they do. And a lot of them are from really big libraries, so it's really interesting to hear how these 30 branch systems are and I'm I have an Excel spreadsheet and pen and paper. But it's been helpful to hear different perspectives. So coming back to that equivalent of a part-time staff member thing, in 2024, over our 24 volunteers, look, this is what we would have paid a part-time staff member to do all of the things that we asked the volunteers to do. And they are doing regular library tasks. They're shelving, they're helping us wrap books to go out to other libraries, they're helping us unwrap books that come from other libraries, weeding or missing lists, search lists, like they're on the floor doing library work. So they're gaining valuable experience. They're part of the team. Over the life of the program, it's a little over $31,000. These numbers of committed volunteers, there's overlap between 2023 and 2024. Because our retention over 12 months is at 46% right now, which for things that you're not getting paid to do, I'm not upset about that. The volunteers spend their time doing a lot of different things. Shelving is the bulk of it. Circulation processing is new. So that's the bundling things to go out in the courier, unwrapping things that come through the courier, missing lists. Those are new things that I've like kind of added into the mix this year. But our tasks have expanded. Some of these things, like orientation, every volunteer only does that once, but that's 2% of my time in managing the program. So that's kind of the composition of how we're doing stuff around here. And then looking at hours over time, this spike that you see is the introduction of the TIES partnership because it's operating on a school year schedule. So we started with them in September. In October, one of them liked being here so much that he wanted to be here all 5 days of the week. So he was doing 10 hours a week. So that's where that huge spike comes from. Things kind of ebb and flow, but I think we're in a really good place overall. So the feedback survey, I sent the survey to 13 active volunteers and TIES student interns. And I got 9 responses, which I don't know how many of you do surveys like in regular lives, but that is crazy good response rate. Like you're lucky if you get like 20%. But we have really reached the boundaries of like my knowledge as a volunteer coordinator. I used to be a volunteer here and in other libraries. So like from that perspective, I know a lot of what I like and don't like, but as someone who's like in charge of the whole thing, I can only do so much by myself. So I asked the volunteers, what do they like? What do they not like? What do they want to do more or less of? And I also wanted to collect impact data. So you'll see quotations direct from the survey. Some of them are edited a little bit for clarity, but you'll see quotations directly from the volunteers throughout these responses. And it's like, this is what they like to do. Okay, cool. So my first category was satisfaction. 100% of the respondents would recommend volunteering at the library to their family and friends, feel a sense of accomplishment, and enjoy their volunteer hours here. When we asked, do you feel like your volunteer work is meaningful? Lots of yeses. I enjoy helping out such a great public resource. Libraries are important to the community. I love working with the staff. The librarians express their appreciation and make me feel like I'm doing something helpful. I'm glad that we're doing that because they are doing things that are helpful. I also touched on communication between the library and volunteers. So if we look at the next slide, sorry. So most volunteers feel the library's program is well organized, receive timely communications, feel up to date on what's happening at the library. This is something that we can improve on. But up until this point, I have been the sole point of contact. So I'm like, answering emails on my day off, and I'm the one setting up schedules and setting up calendar invitations to make sure that they know when they're supposed to be here and all of that good stuff. And then, they enjoy email updates on volunteer duties and events that are happening at the library. We do have volunteers that come in and help with like adult programming, setting up, breaking down, refilling the snack bowls, that kind of thing. And then looking at support. So how can we be more supportive? One person said that they have struggled with sorting book donations. They want to make sure that they're not sending good books to the trash or bad books into the sale. And then the library is very receptive to questions I have. But 100% of the people who responded said that the library helps them succeed as a volunteer. So I feel I'm pretty proud of them. And then I asked them just generally, what do they like and not like? Everyone's pleasant, being able to make a difference, interacting with patrons and staff, flexibility in terms of scheduling, dislikes, sorting donation books, children's nonfiction, staff don't like it either. The disorganization of the children's books, again, little people, little hands will put things wherever they want. Anything that may be a challenge or confusing, I just ask a librarian. So, but overall, there were more likes than dislikes, so I will take that. And then what do they want to do going forward? ESL classes, homebound delivery, helping folks with disabilities finding materials. I think these are all great options to start looking into. I know that at one point the homebound delivery question was posed and it was kind of like mixed. So maybe we can explore an alternative to getting volunteers involved in that maybe doesn't involve direct patron interaction. We'll see. We'll see. And then what's next? So I have created and I have asked our full-time circulation associates, Caitlin and Brooke, to help me with just kind of beefing up that task checklist. So in the back where the volunteers sign in on pen and paper, there's a little list on the wall that says, what do I do next? So there's a checklist for that. There's a flow chart for sorting books for the donation. I'm going to continue like integrating the feedback as much as I can. Not all of their suggestions are going to be feasible, but a lot of them certainly are, especially with help, because I'm expanding the coordination team to include Caitlin and Brooke. They were voluntold. I appreciate them a lot. And then maybe by the end of this year, I would really love to have like a formal volunteer handbook. A lot of bigger libraries have those and they give them to you at the start. And they're like, here's our expectations. It's your volunteer version of an employee manual. Learn it, live it, love it. So I would love to have something of that nature that's like, you know, wear closed-toed shoes. Let us know if you're going to be late. You know, those kinds of things, so that it's not just me constantly emailing back and forth with, you know, 20 different individuals. So yeah, so that's where we're at. The volunteer program has grown immensely since June of 2023 when we opened up a brand new interest form. And I actually have probably like 60 interest forms that are just kind of sitting in limbo because we just don't have the capacity to invite that many people in here as volunteers on a regular basis. So we'll see how 2025 goes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have one question,
Yes.
which I think I answered in my brain. These numbers, the 1,000 does not include the summer reading volunteers, correct?
No, these are just
Yeah.
over 18 adult volunteers.
So I know that sometimes in our statistical report, the numbers get really boosted by the summer reading volunteers. For this summer, can we parse those out and separate them just to have that?
Yeah.
Or summer?
So
Well-
basically keep the adult volunteers separate
Yes.
from them.
Yes, so Alex, just to let you know, Kimberly and the children's staff have volunteers from Inglewood schools who come and run summer reading pretty much, and, well, they run the like checking off all your things. They do not run summer reading. They run the checking off and the table of the prize bin and all that. Yes, thank you. And so, yeah, but during the summer, we see tons of hours, but
They're not all.
let's just make sure that's accurate.
Absolutely.
Along those same lines, included in the numbers, is it like our hours when we volunteer the like book sale, or is it just our current?
In
volunteers?
the statistical report, probably. In my numbers, no, because those numbers were not shared with me. But if you would like me to include those in my reports, I'm happy to do that.
Well,
I don't think that's necessary.
I kind of have I think a piggyback question to that, which um, is there any when someone says they want to volunteer, is there any requirement to say, we would like you to volunteer for at least 3 months, or can you please commit to 6 months? And not, it doesn't mean X amount of hours, but like a period of time, because obviously you have a lot of time and energy that goes into training someone, da, da, da. What does that look like? Because I wonder if that's kind of part of the differentiator, a one-time volunteer like us to do something versus an ongoing 6-month period of time.
So when I invite new people to an orientation, at the beginning of that orientation, I'm like, this is a weekly volunteer commitment, 2-ish hours every week,
Okay.
blah, blah, blah. And then I ask them when we sit down and talk about scheduling, do you want to start with 2, 3, or 6 months? And then we'll check in and see if this is still working for us. We can find another solution, or you can go volunteer elsewhere. But every single volunteer up to this point, I believe, has honored their 2, 3, or 6 month commitment.
Great.
So, and I mean, I'm not gonna like chase you down, but I do try to set that expectation from the beginning and say, you know, stuff happens in life and that's totally fine.
Mhm.
And I am putting a lot of time into this, so,
Yes.
you know,
Right.
get what you give.
Yeah. I think those parameters are important. Yeah.
So, and I know that retention was an issue prior to me taking over the program, so I really wanted to hone in on like what makes people want to stay.
Mhm.
So I tried to set as clear expectations as I could from the beginning. In April, there's like National Volunteer Week, and so I do a little something to appreciate them for that. And then at the end of the year, I do like a big volunteer appreciation party where we come in and like, you know, eat cheese and crackers and play board games or whatever. So I try to do things that make people feel like they're being appreciated,
Yes.
while also being like, and you're going to be here every week for the next 2 months, right?
Yeah.
So
Great.
So I think maybe to the statistical report part, like maybe we just need Anna's, you know, official, not Anna's, but like official volunteer program hours and then like an additional. And then let's put some reading in children's or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, we could just break down volunteer hours.
Yeah.
And have the total
Yeah.
number, but then they broke it down.
Yeah.
I think that.
If that's not too much.
A question, can I, you mentioned an ESL, a desire to increase that. Pre-COVID and a whole other universe, we had ESL tutoring in the library as well as citizenship testing tutoring, and we worked with a nonprofit partner that I believe is no longer in operation. Who basically, we went through the library volunteer system, but we were using someone else to kind of run that. Is that what you're looking for again, like another partner, or how are you thinking about how you might facilitate that?
I think that a partnership would be the most sustainable way to do it, because we've had staff even in recent memory in the last 2 years who have been like, I really want to do this, and then, you know, all of the advertising goes out, and then we hold 2 or 3 sessions, and then because they are part-time, you know, circumstances change and they're no longer with the library. And so I personally believe that a partnership would be the most sustainable way to do that. And that would fall under the domain of the adult services team. So that would require cross-library collaboration and then like some kind of external collaborations. There would be a lot of moving pieces to that. And I don't want to put undue pressure on a department that is already stretched a little thin right now. So that will be a long-term goal.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you for
1,000
asking
hours.
for them.
Mhm.
All right, the last thing on new business is election of officers in March. I've been the board chair for 3 years and I think it's time for me to pass the torch.
It's already been another year.
It has already been another year. Additionally, I will not be here in March. It's our spring break and we're gonna be in the mountains. So, just a heads up that there will be a new chair and vice chair election, and somebody will run that. And it might be Debbie, that's. why
It'll
I
be
was, like,
Debbie.
pointing over here. Debbie will run it.
I think Marie just set the rule. You can't elect her when she's not here.
Yeah, not like.
That's
And
what
the-
we did on mine.
I love this role. It is not that much work. I check in with Debbie once a month to make sure the agenda's good, and, you know, I occasionally would have meetings with library manager if needed and stay dialed in, but, you can do it off of YouTube. So, there's that. Any questions on chair, vice chair? And Gina just filled in pretty much when I'm not around.
I just do what Marie tells
So you
me.
get to kick off the meeting, and then you get to continue the meeting, Gina.
That's great. I'm happy to do that.
All right, perfect. All right, full business, strategic plan update.
All right, so the staff have been working on the vision, mission, values, roles, and Miss Kimberly Powers, children's librarian, she took ownership in meeting with little focus groups and the staff to really hone in what they wanted to see as the mission, vision, and so on. And so we have a meeting with Barry Dunn, who's a consultant doing the strategic plan tomorrow. Kimberly is going to be at that to go through her findings, and she did a wonderful job. I think she has a future in strategic planning, but not for a long time because she needs to stay here.
Not allowed to leave.
No. It's a side hustle, exactly. So the plan will be to send out a survey to the board before the next meeting. And Barry Dunn will do a presentation at the next meeting. And so expect that coming probably, well, it's almost next month. So it's almost March. So probably be early March that you'll see that come through. And then the task force, the community task force is meeting next Tuesday night. Here,
Wednesday, maybe.
the 25th,
Tuesday.
Tuesday, 25th.
Tuesday, okay.
Yeah, we'll see you on Tuesday. And that'll be here in the library. And so Barry Dunn will be on site for that as well. So we'll have an update on how that went too.
Staff's choice.
I think I've provided all the updates I have. Carrie, Hannah, anything you want to share?
I'm really excited about the new director. And all the work with this strategic plan has been really exciting too. So I think between those two things, it's just, it feels like there's so much new, fresh stuff on the horizon. And so I think I'm just really excited to see what the year brings. So everybody needs to be positive, very excited.
Yeah, she did.
You've got the positivist of positive words here, so. We're good, it'll be good. Wonderful. All right, board members' choice, anything anyone would like to share?
I'll give a brief update. Some of you might be tracking this because it's been in the news as well. But as you know, there's been a long conversation around the future of this building and the future of this property that the city owns that has been leased out. And so the city owns on the ground, but there's been a ground lease that was all the retail around us. And a new private partner has bought that ground lease. And that means we are starting a new relationship with someone to see, would they like to think about the future of this parcel and this space? It's very new. They just closed a month ago, maybe?
Yeah, about a month
Something
ago.
like that.
Mhm.
And so we are updating them on all of the site plans we've done, all of the strategic planning done with the Downtown Development Authority. But it is, we didn't have control over who purchased the ground lease. And so you mentioned is there a new building in the future of the library? That all kind of hinges on, is there a public-private partnership to be had? So I just wanted to update you all because that's been the most recent development and it's an ongoing of this. And so, you know, and now as much as I do.
All right, thanks, Chelsea. Devon.
All right, so from the schools, we want to thank the Adjournment Strategies for their work with the middle school situation that we're dealing with. I'm still getting read in on Tuesday's meeting because I was not there. I was at the governor's event, and then I was on Capitol today, so don't have very many updates outside of that because I've been busy because it is now the legislative season and I am the legislative liaison. So I've been busy. Other than that, no further update.
Board's gonna be voting on the future of the middle school on March fourth.
On March 4th,
Yeah.
in 2 weeks. I'll be ready for that.
Yep.
Yep. I would say the video is pretty interesting so far that I've watched, so
I was there the whole time. It was a good meeting.
it was a long night.
Anyone else, anything? All right, well, thank you all. It is 6:45. Someday we'll have a longer meeting, but it's not today. I adjourn this meeting. And that's the end of my chair.
Oh.
Went out on an efficient note. I love it.
Yeah. I need to sign this.